Holy hell, Harry Potter! Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter, Harry Potter! Name something. Go on, name anything. Whatever you just said, that thing exists with Harry Potter branding all over it. Harry Potter clothes, Harry Potter plates, Harry Potter There are lands in Universal theme parks across the world. There's a studio tour just outside of London that you need to book months in advance. There's a shop selling tat in King's Cross Station because it just so happened to feature in the books. It's safe to say Harry Potter is massive. As a fandom, it's on a scale hitherto unseen. Yes, the Marvel movies are huge and Avengers Endgame is now the biggest film of all time, but are the fans full of such ravenous, unquenchable bloodlust that they'd wait 48 hours outside a bookshop just for a copy of a script to a crap play which they'll likely never get to see because, again, you have to get tickets for a year's time. And there are 2 parts making it doubly difficult. But this isn't about the Cursed Child play. There'll be plenty of time to talk about that down the line. This is about the movies. Harry Potter was a series of 8 movies which were all good to very good. They introduced us to a world of magic and mystery and excitement and questionable acting, but we loved them and we couldn't wait, and we watched these kids grow up, and oh my god, why didn't I get my Hogwarts letter? But by the end of the 8th movie, which, let's be honest, probably should have been 7, we had a nice, complete story. And J.K. Rowling even threw in an epilogue so that we knew that 5 years down the line Ron didn't run out into the road like a frightened cat and get run over. But with such a solid series right there, both in black and white and committed to celluloid for the rest of time, we have our world. The characters and their motivations have been solidified, the rules of magic have been laid out, and the history and the lore is set in stone. But things have a habit of changing, don't they? At this point, J.K. Rowling has become something of a meme. Every few weeks she'll post something on Twitter or Pottermore announcing something about a character which wasn't relevant to the books, the story, or the character, just to show us how incredibly inclusive she is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a lactose-intolerant Colin Creevey, but sometimes an artist just needs to step away from their work and admit when it's finished. You've written the end, you can let it go. It's okay. It's safe. Enter Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, a 2016 movie featuring a character who was never actually mentioned in the Harry Potter movies, but did get a fleeting mention in the books and had his own spin-off book. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a fictional reference book written by Magizoologist Newt Scamander and definitely not J.K. Rowling. There is no story to the book, it features no characters, no narrative, no themes, so I guess it makes perfect sense to adapt it into a movie. J.K. Rowling has tried writing stuff that isn't Wizarding World related and had success, but I guess she just keeps getting that familiar itch which she can only scratch by taking out her wand. Fine, you know what? I don't think anybody's really going to mind if we have a nice little movie about a character who has no real connection to the Harry Potter series, in a spin-off that has no real impact on the Harry Potter story. Oh. An Indiana Jones-style adventure featuring a wizard travelling the world to find magical creatures actually sounds kinda brilliant. And when I first heard they were going to make a Fantastic Beasts movie, I assumed that's exactly what we were going to get. And it is. Kinda? I mean, half the movie's a little like that. Newt loses a bunch of his magical creatures around New York and teams up with a muggle to try and get them back. Awesome! There's your movie. Job done. Or is it? No, actually there's another half to this movie, a darker half, which features a plot about a wizard who has been forced to repress his magical abilities so much that it makes him occasionally turn into an angry murder cloud, and a dark wizard called Grindelwald who wants to use him to take over the world. And in what universe do these 2 storylines go together? Answer, they don't. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them feels like what would happen if 2 children had separate ideas for Harry Potter fanfiction but couldn't agree which one was better, so their mum made them combine them together and then sold the results to Warner Brothers who thought, screw it, let's make it into a movie. Usually films have an A plot, the main plot, and perhaps 2 or 3 B plots, aka side plots. But with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, we kind of have 2 A plots, or 2 B plots depending on how you look at it. And then maybe 1 or 2 C plots? What this then results in is a messy narrative which jumps from magical creature hijinks at the zoo to dark magic and evil, and the 2 don't really gel all that well. So what's it going to be, JK? Light and fluffy or dark and mysterious? And this is just one example of how inconsistent the Fantastic Beasts movies seem to be. And not just with themselves, but the Wizarding World series as a whole. What's important to remember with Harry Potter is that it was born into this world a children's novel, otherwise known as a middle grade novel for readers aged 9 to 12. Over time, Harry grew in the books, so of course his audience did too, so naturally the issues and the themes faced by the characters also grew alongside them, which changed the books significantly from children's to YA or young adult. The same thing happened with the movies, although there is more than enough in there to keep all ages happy, from the little uns through to the big uns. But despite the switch, it still remained a children's story featuring a child/teenager going through extraordinary things. So with that in mind, what is the one thing missing from Fantastic Beasts and where to find them? That's right, Harry Potter. Well, specifically a child protagonist. Think about it, how many live-action children's films are there that don't feature a child as one of the main characters? Or any children at all? In fact, the only children to appear in Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald are murdered mercilessly by Johnny Depp and his weird eyes. So what does that mean for the Fantastic Beasts movies? If they don't feature any children, then who are they for? Young adults? No, YA generally deals with the issues experienced by that age group. Children? Not really, how are they going to relate? So, adults? I'm not sure. Okay, there are always exceptions to that rule, as I'm sure you're angrily writing in the comments as we speak, but that's not to say that Fantastic Beasts isn't confused about who it's trying to reach. So the tone is all over the place, the target audience is muddled. What else is it about Fantastic Beasts that is so inconsistent? So we've already established that Fantastic Beasts could have been a fun family adventure movie with Wizarding World links, but no Harry Potter links. But what we have is essentially Harry Potter 2 featuring Voldemort 2 and Dumbledore 1. At what point did Dumbledore go from wearing a smart suit and waistcoat to wearing my nan's curtains anyway? Don't get me wrong, Jude Law's mannerisms and the way he speaks mimic Michael Gambon really well, but at what point do you look at a rug and think, that looks way more stylish than my three-piece from Burton's? One of the major points for me is how Newt Scamander is forced into this hero role. He doesn't want it, he doesn't suit it, and this isn't his story. Even the movie can't really give us a decent enough reason as to why he has to be there, why he specifically has to be the one doing all the main character-y stuff. In Harry Potter it was obvious, he was the chosen one, the one who survived, the other half of the prophecy. But in Fantastic Beasts, Newt is just kind of there. It's coincidence. Yes, the sequel tries to claim that Dumbledore sent Newt to New York knowing that he was there looking for credence, but that's just retconning. Newt wasn't even planning on being in New York for long, and would have been well on his way to Arizona had he not bumped into Jacob by complete accident, which itself wouldn't have happened had his Niffler not escaped his case. And you cannot tell me that Dumbledore knew that would happen. Things can't happen by accident and then have you claim it happened by design. Newt doesn't bring any kind of special skills to the table which is relevant to the Grindelwald story. Okay, you could argue that he knows all about Obscurials, but by the second movie that's basically been forgotten anyway, bar a single scene where he blows up an old lady. But Credence seems to do that by choice anyway, therefore negating the beasts part of it. Surely this is now a job for some auras. And speaking of explosions, did nobody see that? And did nobody see the one in the first movie with the giant wobbly rhino creature which destroyed this apartment in New York? Yes, Newt puts the apartment back together, but that's going to raise even more questions. And this one guy was obliviated. But what about the rest of the city? How do they explain how hundreds of people saw an apartment put itself back together? And you're not telling me that the magic rain at the end of the movie worked on that too? Despite days having passed since then and the fact that it would have made the papers. And yes, magic memory erasing rain, something Newt just so happens to have in his possession for when the time is right, and works perfectly on absolutely everything intended. That is, until the sequel, when Jacob apparently remembers everything. They give us an excuse that the magic only erased bad memories, but you're not telling me that the entirety of New York only had bad memories about the events of the first movie. If I saw a murder cloud and giant golden eagle flying around, it wouldn't necessarily produce a bad memory. In fact, it would be pretty freaking spectacular. So how do you explain that? Oh, you can't. But we needed a way to get Jacob back, everyone's favourite lovable goofy nomad from the first movie, and ruin what was a really nice ending for the character. But no, now he's back to be in the way all over again, purely because the movie needs some comic relief amongst all the murdering children. And after the hints at the end of the first movie, the sequel pairs Jacob up with Queenie, our resident mind reader. And we know she's a mind reader because, well, that's pretty much all she does in the first movie. She reads minds all over the place. Here, here, here. So, can you answer me this? How can a character we've established as a mind reader not know the intentions of Wizard Hitler? How can she not know he's evil? Okay, you could argue that Grindelwald is so powerful that Queenie can't read his mind, but surely that should raise a few flags. The reason Queenie resents the wizarding world so much is because she can't marry Jacob, and yet despite his objections to her joining the wizard Nazis, and Wizard Hitler with his funny eye stood right there, she suddenly, can't read minds? Or just ignores the evilness coming from within because she just loves and wants to marry Jacob so damn much? But then again, this is a character who enchanted a man who wanted to marry her to drag him to London to marry her. What? I don't know, it's just a weak excuse to get the characters back together so they can continue to have the same misadventures they were having in the first movie before, they completed their arcs. So, not only do we have inconsistencies between Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter, we also have inconsistencies between Fantastic Beasts and Fantastic Beasts. And what else do we have? How about their completely ridiculous method of transporting prisoners? Hey, in a world where there are port keys, apparating, flu networks and vanishing cabinets, why not transport a dangerous prisoner by magic, definitely not secure flying carriage? Or how about, in the Harry Potter series, about 90% of the story takes place in the wizarding world, and the rest takes place in Little Whinging or London. In Fantastic Beasts, we practically have the opposite. I don't want to see wizards running around normal streets. Show me the New York version of Diagon Alley, damn it! Imagine how badass wizarding skyscrapers would look. Or how about, remember in the first movie when Harry and Dumbledore talked about Nicholas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone? Sure, stick them in the movie, why the hell not? Yeah, the movie suffers from something I like to call prequel predictability. Prequels just can't stop themselves from peppering in hints and nods to the films that came before it. Or should that be after it? Why not throw in Nicholas Flamel or Dumbledore or McGonagall? Who cares if it fits in with the timeline or not? Let's just have everyone, why not? Nagini is a human woman, okay. Oh my god! Neville Longbottom decapitated a person! But with prequel predictability comes a complete and total lack of tension. We know what's going to happen to Grindelwald. We see him in prison in the Harry Potter series after all. Dumbledore won't die, neither will Newt, because we know he and Tina will get married. And if we know these things will happen, then we know there's not going to be any tension. And if there's no tension, then there's no drama. And because of that, prequels have very little to work with. We know everything, so nothing's going to come as a surprise. Unless you happen to throw in a curveball which just so happens to make absolutely no sense. Yes, says J.K. Rowling, I'll do just that. So it's settled then. Credence is a Dumbledore. That's right, despite having known throughout the entire Harry Potter series that Albus has a brother and a sister who died, there is another. A mystery Dumbledore which Wizard Hitler wants to use to destroy trendy, cool Dumbledore. But it's a prequel, so we know that ain't gonna happen. In fact, we know exactly what is gonna happen in that Albus, Aberforth and Grindelwald are gonna have a three-way battle and then Dumbledore's sister's gonna die in the crossfire. But I suppose the excitement is in seeing that happen? I'm starting to get a sense of deja vu. There was no reason not to make a Fantastic Beasts movie. The ingredients were all there for a fun family adventure with a few thrills and spills. It wouldn't suffer from prequel predictability because it's fresh and original and standalone. Except it isn't. It ties directly into Harry Potter lore, involving characters we already know and love. Doing this doesn't help the story, it hinders it. Why is this awkward, animal-loving man who hates being the centre of attention being forced into the middle of these epic battles? All he wants to do is care for his beasts. That's his thing. He isn't the right person for this job. As it stands, the Fantastic Beasts films feel forced, and it's far too late to do anything about it now. There are too many storylines to tie up that have nothing to do with Fantastic Beasts or where to find them. In fact, with the third movie, just rename it. Remove Newt. Then you might have something a little more cohesive.
And that's the problem when you have rides and movies and books and plays. You start to get a little muddled, a little confused. Not everything needs a backstory that has to be told. It can create too many unnecessary problems. Just let the work do the work. Thanks very much for watching. It would be amazing if you could subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below and, smash that like button, I guess. See you next time.